All right, welcome back to the Red, Gold, and Bold, or should I say Two Deep podcast. We'll get into that. A little bit of an announcement here today we're going to make about how the podcasts are going to work moving forward. Jeffri Chadiha from the NFL Network, Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We got a lot to cover. Jared Goff got a contract that made him the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL based upon the average per year, $212 million. Is this gold for the Kansas City Chiefs for a quarterback to be paid this much? That's clearly not Patrick Mahomes. What is the secret to winning with a high-priced quarterback? Only the Chiefs have been able to unlock that. Can the Lions do it? What do the highest-paid quarterbacks look like when it comes to their actual wins and losses? What's their record? How do they fare when they go to the postseason? We'll talk about the expectations and numbers for one Xavier Worthy, first-round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's coming up right now, and I'll tell you about this in a minute on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.
You're listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeffri Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro. Jeffri Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Eric Eager is the vice president of research and development for Sumer Sports. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the best Chiefs podcast, Jeffri Chadiha, Eric Eager, and Soren Petro.
And good evening and welcome. If you're catching us via the podcast, we stream usually about 9 p. On 9 p. Central on a Tuesday. So if you want to be part of the conversation, it's down there in the bottom here, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, every way we can, Instagram. We do it every way we possibly can to try to give you as many ways to be a part of the conversation. We've got the chat room going, a lot of folks in there already. You can be a part each and every week. Answer some of your questions. We'd love to have you if you can make it. If you're catching us via the podcast, that's no problem as well. Jeff, it's a time of change. We mentioned earlier that Eric Eager would be moving on from the podcast. I think a lot of people who follow football and maybe follow Eric's career saw at some point this week word came out that he was going to be joining the Carolina Panthers as the VP of Analytics. So if you're just joining us now, we said this on our previous podcast. We wish Eric the best. He's our brother. We'll always think of him that way. And nothing but the best to Eric. What a great opportunity for him. But it also gives us kind of a chance to reset what we're doing, right? We're looking at where we're going to go with maybe another host and everything, just Jeff and I today. But it gives us a chance to kind of evaluate what we're doing. And one of the things we talked about is like, look, you and I are Kansas City based. Likelihood is we'll probably end up maybe with another Kansas City host in the future. The bread and butter is the Red, Gold, and Bold. Why not do it twice a week? We love what we do on the Two Deep. We love our NFL talk. But the Red, Gold, and Bold is really it. And we'll still do a lot of our national angles. It'll just always be a part of how it fits in to what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're not cutting down the number of podcasts. We're just going to be a little bit more Chiefs influence. You got to think of another way to put it.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, I think we've enjoyed doing both podcasts, but it just feels like the way we're branding things and the way that people respond to this brand, just, the colors, the red, gold, and the bold discussions we have, it just made sense to try to make it more of the first one. Obviously, is still going to be all about the Chiefs, but we can actually fold in some national storylines. We can do interviews that we've been doing on Too Deep under this banner. We can have other guests come in that we've had in the past, from some of Soren's friends to guys I've known in my walks of life in my career. So it's still going to be fun. It's still going to be football. It's still going to be us. But the whole point is that it's just the colors are going to change, the name's going to change. That's
Yeah.
about it.
We've been kicking it around for a while as something that we thought, hey, do we want to do this? How do we want to do it? What's the best way to proceed? And we've got to, listen, we've been blown away by the number of people that, love the Red Gold and Bold podcast. And, so many people come up like, hey, I love the podcast. Good. Appreciate that because we love doing it. And if we don't have people, checking it out, then, it doesn't really work, for us to be doing the podcast. And so we just thought, hey, we think the best way to give you the most content and to maximize what we think our listeners, our viewers want. And so here moving forward, we're going to do a couple Red Gold and Bolds. We're still working on the schedule. And as we work on, Eric's, departure, which we're thrilled about because it's such a great opportunity for him, but it came fast. And so I'm not saying we're scrambling. Listen, we're not doing 40 hours a week. Let's be clear. But it takes a little time, and so we're figuring things out. We'll work out the schedule, but you'll just have more Red, Gold, and Bold, more Chiefs talk, while also keeping all the best parts of Two Deep in this podcast. So we're excited. We think the podcasts get even better. We hope you're excited as well. We listen to the feedback we get from people, especially when, I get shaken down at the hen house when I'm doing a remote for my radio show. And, that happens from time to time. Always appreciate that. But we just think this is the best way to proceed. And who knows? I don't know. 10 years from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, we might say we're doing something different. We're going to do basket weaving. So stay tuned. I doubt that. I think it'll probably be Chiefs-based, but that's the direction we're going to go here moving forward. So we appreciate all the feedback and everybody's support. And while we're getting a chance to kind of reset with our man Eric Eager, headed on to bigger and better things with the Carolina Panthers, gives us an opportunity to kind of shift and adjust what it is we're doing. So thanks for bearing with us, and we hope everybody likes it and enjoys it. Certainly shoot us into your feedback. Make sure you hit that like button, love button, all that. That helps us immensely, and it don't cost you nothing. All right, so there's the news that I promised was coming today. Let's talk a little bit about NFL news first, and we'll relate it to why it matters to the Chiefs. But Jared Goff, $212 million 4-year extension, $53 million per. Jeff, this makes him the second highest paid when you go by per year average, second highest paid quarterback in the NFL. First of all, can you believe that that's where we're at, that Jared Goff is making $53 million a year?
Yeah, I can believe it because there's been more guys going up that stratosphere. And look, it's a huge number, but being from Michigan, knowing the impact that he's had on that franchise, knowing what that has meant to the Lions fan base. You go back to when Mahomes got here, and if you would have said, hey, you'll pay that much money just to have a chance at a championship game, just to have a chance at a division title, be one of the top seeds, to have a chance to Super Bowl, man, you would have taken that in a heartbeat. So that's really what you're paying for. You're paying for a guy who you can trust, who is good in your locker room, who's played in the Super Bowl and can help lead you to one. And so, yeah, I think it's always easy to look at it and say, well, this guy's not Patrick Mahomes, or he's not Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or whatever. But, he's helped his team win at a high level since he's been there. I think that ultimately is what he's getting paid for.
$53 million. This is to me not quite the Ravens paying Joe Flacco after they won the Super Bowl, but you knew the moment they signed that deal sucked.
Yeah.
That it wasn't going to work, right? It was too much money for a quarterback of Joe Flacco's stature to be able to overcome what it does to your salary cap. Listen, I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you love every time this happens. Do you feel an instant the Chiefs just won 2 more games? No. But it continues to push the number up for other quarterbacks, which sucks up money out of salary caps from every team out there. Every time a quarterback's going to get paid, now the number goes up, right? And no quarterback is as good as Patrick Mahomes. So this continues to push that bar up, and it makes it harder for every one of these teams. And the Chiefs will play these teams, at some point, and they benefit from a lesser roster that comes with having a quarterback pay this. This one is tough, though, because the Lions, they didn't win a championship but they had a better season than they've had in years.
Yeah.
Right? In years. And so if you traded Jared Goff right now, would they, burn down Ford Field?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, Matthew Stafford was there for 10 years, 10 plus years, and never got anywhere close to what Jared Goff got to. And again, Detroit's it's a blue collar town, and they appreciate the quarterbacks you don't have to be like this super flamboyant, super charismatic guy. And I think Jared Goff, fits in there. He made some comments about like some of the negative coverage he's got, and people were laughing. Like people were like chanting this guy's names at like Pistons basketball games, Tigers baseball games. And so he's become a favorite son, but just the history, again, it's very comparable to the Chiefs, where the history of quarterback play in that town has been, look, they would have killed to have a Trent Green, come through the doors back in the day. It's like, I think the highest, aside from Stafford, like the most accomplished quarterback was like Eric Kramer for like decades. And so again, it's an astonishing number. And I think at some point Mahomes is going to take another bump up. All these guys are going to keep raising the cost, but it's also for a reason, because the teams that have these guys ultimately win championships or have a chance to win championships.
Let me read you the rankings of quarterbacks by average dollars per year. 1, Joe Burrow. 2, Justin Herbert. 2, Jared Goff. 3, Justin Herbert. 4, Lamar Jackson. 5, Jalen Hurts. 6, Kyler Murray. 7, Deshaun Watson. 8, Kirk Cousins. 9, Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes and Watson are tied.
Yeah.
Or Mahomes and Cousins are tied. So just something to think about. That's how the dollars go. Like, that has got to make the Kansas City Chiefs get. Now, there's some cook in the books here. The Chiefs have done a great job of following the blueprint of Bill Belichick and the Patriots with Tom Brady, in the sense that they, keep forwarding money, keep turning things into bonuses to take advantage of cap room that's there, and then that brings numbers down, and then they rework the deal, big bonus, prorated out. He's getting the cash dollars. Yeah. He is still making the most money.
Yeah, Brady wouldn't get paid like this.
No, but he still made, when you look back at the actual dollars that went in the pocket, there's a perception that Brady took like 40% less than Peyton Manning. And the reality is the dollars that actually went into their pockets were pretty close. It's just the Patriots were way better at massaging the cap, right? And I think that's what the Chiefs are doing here. That being said, though, let me give you the records. Let's just do playoff records of those top quarterbacks, right? Like, here's where they are right now in the playoffs, okay? 1, Joe Burrow, 5-2. Okay, guys, worth the money. 2, Jared Goff, 4-4 now. I think that's kind of sneaky. You forget about that Rams Super Bowl, a couple of wins last year. He's now 4-4. Justin Herbert, 3rd highest paid, 0-1. Lamar Jackson, 4th highest paid, 2-4. Jalen Hurts, pretty good, 2-3. Kyler Murray, 0-1. Deshaun Watson, 1-2. Kirk Cousins, 1-3. Patrick Mahomes, 15-3. Right, that's what you pay the guy for. And if you want to look at the win percent, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is 74-22 in the regular season. He wins there. He wins in the postseason. Like, the only guys that can compare, if you go on down the road, you'll get to Aaron Rodgers at 11-10. Like, there is no way. Like, Joe Burrow at 5-2 is the only guy that measures up. You know what Joe Burrow's win percentage is in the regular season, Jeff?
What is it?
.563, 56%. He's 29-22-1.
Yeah. And probably bulk of that's probably coming from the first season, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's Super Bowl one.
But that's also the reality for all these teams, for most of these guys, is that they were drafted into bad teams, right? I don't think of all the guys you mentioned, I don't think any of them showed up in the kind of situation that Patrick Mahomes had, anything close to it. And so Joe Burrow was first overall pick for a reason. Like, Josh Allen joined a Buffalo team that had made one playoff appearance in like 2 decades. Justin Herbert joined a losing team. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles had a losing season. I think when he started playing for them, they were coming off it. I think they'd won the championship, and then he was drafted 2 years later. And so ultimately, that's really been a big part of Mahomes' success. And he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but it's also he showed up at a great situation. And we talked about this with Caleb Williams with Chicago. Like, what's his career going to be like if he doesn't have to be with the Carolina Panthers type team? Or we talked about that with CJ Stroud. Like, when you join a team and you are, a team that had won 3 or 4, 12 games in like 3 years, and you take them to the playoffs your first year, like, you're a baller. And so it's hard to find those types of guys.
Let me ask you this. I would ask the simple question of how many of these guys can beat Patrick Mahomes? But listen, Jacoby Brissett beat him in 18 as a member of the Colts, or maybe 19 as a member of the Colts, right? That's not a fair question. How many of them can go toe-to-toe or get the better of Patrick Mahomes year in, year out? Joe Burrow's proven he can.
Yeah, Joe Burrow can do it.
We're going to put him on that list. Tom Brady did back in the day. He's out of the game now.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow is the one guy who has done it.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else?
Well, Josh Allen can do it. And Josh Allen has been on the cusp of doing it twice now, right?
Yeah.
And so they met twice in the playoffs in 3 years, and it's both games came down to last-second plays.
He's been on the cusp multiple times, and I do agree with you. I would vote Josh Allen as well, but to a degree, Jimmy Garoppolo went toe-to-toe with him. One time in a Super Bowl, had him down 10 points in the fourth quarter. Brock Purdy had him down in the fourth quarter, took him to overtime. Would you say that either one of those guys? I know the answer is obviously no on Garoppolo, but is Brock Purdy in the mix of guys that you think can actually stand toe-to-toe with him?
Yeah, I don't ever see it in that way. Even as great as he is, like, it's never because if it was toe to toe, the stats would bear that out individually, right? Like, he hasn't played his greatest games in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, his numbers.
Mahomes?
Yeah, Mahomes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so he hasn't dominated. He played pretty well this last one, but the first two, like, the numbers are pretty, for his level, pretty pedestrian. So it really always comes down to your supporting cast and what you have around you. And so I think all these guys, if you're able to give them better supporting cast, their chances of winning become better. And that's always going to be. I mean, you look at what the reason Tom Brady won his last championship. It wasn't just because he was Tom Brady. I mean, he played okay in that game. They had a great team. Well, and the Chiefs weren't as good that day.
But isn't that the rebuttal to Joe Burrow? Like you mentioned, it's about the supporting cast, which we're talking about here gets so much harder when the quarterback's taking up all that cap room. Joe Burrow's success is largely on the rookie contract. A team that had sucked for years, picking high for years, been able to assemble talent, and give them credit. They made some smart decisions, right? I'm not trying to take anything away from them. That's the formula. The Chiefs, they benefited from that as well, right? I'm not saying that, every team is trying to do that. That'll be what the Texans try to do. It's what the Bears are going to try to do. It's what the Eagles did. They benefited early on. But how many of them, for like a Manning-Brady showdown, how many of these guys do you think, especially as they graduate out of being cheap, can really stand toe-to-toe?
Well, again, you look at Manning and Brady. Manning especially. Manning's 2 championships came when he had his worst postseasons. I mean, his best individual seasons, he didn't come close to getting to a Super Bowl. And so in 2006, they had a team that really, Bob Sanders was a big playmaker on defense, Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis. They had a lot of guys who were playing high-level defense. They had a good mix in the run game. And then you look at in Denver. I mean, yeah, that was the last game. He was like, I think he was doing more interceptions than touchdowns in his last season, and ended up getting a championship out of it. And so, even with Mahomes, this last year with Mahomes, they won because of their defense. I mean, he obviously made plays along the way, but if they don't have that defense, they're not beating the Ravens. They're not beating the Niners. They may not even win the division. I mean, they had some tough games in there. that you could probably say their defense probably won them 6 or 7 games over the course of the season. And that always gets forgotten because the quarterbacks get so much credit for things. But that's always what it's going to be about. That's really been a big part of why they've become a dynasty, is because they've been able to not just say, okay, we got this great quarterback, he's going to win for us. It's like they've been able to put people around him to make the plays that help that quarterback win.
I do agree, but this is my new, crutch I'm going to lean on for a long time now. There's no doubt the defense was giant, right? And I don't want to take anything away from it. And I think, how the league allows them to put together the coaching staff that they have and not steal them away is beyond me. And Spagnuolo deserves a ton of credit. The defense was great. Came up with a bunch of key stops in that Super Bowl and in the playoffs against the Ravens. No points scored offensively against the Ravens. 100% agree with everything you're saying. What I would add on to that is, and when they had to get 3, Mahomes went down and got 3. They were about ready to go into, they rerun, God bless your network. I love NFL Network, okay? They rerun those Super Bowls. And son of a bitch, if I don't stop and watch everyone that has the Chiefs. In fact, I found myself watching the 93 wild card game against the Steelers. Merrill Hodge versus Christian Okoye. Yeah. Right? Like, I love those things. I adore those things. Anyway, I'm watching the Chiefs-Niners this past Super Bowl again, and a lot of times I'm working, and so it's on without sound. Like, I got the TV on right now. Like, it's nighttime. I got the Royals on, the Knicks on. I'm going through everything, just keeping, off to the side, but there's no sound. And when I'm working, I won't be having the sound up. I had the sound on because I was exercising. Yes, Tommy, it happens. Every now and then I exercise, or Tommy Moe jumps my fat ass. Yeah. And they made the comment, and I had forgotten this, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz, that no team had ever won the Super Bowl being held scoreless at the end of the half. And the Chiefs got the ball and had to go down in 2 minutes and get points on the board. And they only got a field goal, but they got points. And we know late in the game, they were trailing, right? Had to get 3 to tie it. He got them down the field. Like, I'm with you. I agree with everything you say on the defense. But that defense without Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't win either.
No, that's fair. I look at it like all your great players got to play great to win a championship. And so I look at it like Brock Purdy played a pretty good game, but Nick Bosa didn't make the kind of plays that Chris Jones made in those games on defense for the Chiefs. So if Nick Bosa is able to get Mahomes down or, pressure him in certain situations, maybe that's a different game. Maybe if Dre Greenlaw plays the whole game, it's a different game. They didn't lose a key defensive player. It's
well, they lost Charles Omenihu before the game.
Before the game, but I'm talking about during the game. Yeah, they were prepared to deal with it. And so, yeah, but again, I think if you look back at all the Chiefs championships, there's always going to be moments where it's, and I know you're not saying this, and I know most fans understand this, you don't win a championship just because of one guy in the NFL. You can do it in basketball. You can even do it in baseball to a certain extent if you got the right pitcher. But in football, when I've seen team win championships, it's always, the stars played well, but then it's like a Kadarius Toney punt return, or it's Chris Jones pressuring Brock Purdy at the right time, or it's Trent McDuffie pressuring Purdy on a blitz and batting a pass down. It's it's all these little things. Like, right. People always forget, for all these championships Brady won, they forget like how many he could have lost if one thing had gone a certain way.
Listen,
or two things had gone different ways.
There's no doubt. Look, has Aaron Rodgers been plagued by some bad decisions? Sure, he has. Is Aaron Rodgers maybe kind of an insufferable pain in the ass that creates some of the bad decisions by wanting things that aren't actually productive towards winning? Does he not redo his deal to make sure that they can go get players? Yes, all that's there. But let me ask you this. Tom Brady, is he the greatest of all time? Or is he just lucky? Because Tom Brady won Super Bowls, early in his career, people forget this, 20-17, 32-29 against the Panthers, who went for it for 3 times in that game. If they just kick extra points, I don't know, maybe we're still in overtime in that game. And they beat the Eagles 24-21. His first 3 Super Bowls were won by 9 points.
Yeah.
9 points. his last 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots, right? 34-28 over the Falcons. They had Bill Belichick. They had defense. It needed the greatest comeback, greatest comeback in playoff history. One or second greatest comeback in playoff history for them to win that one. A couple years later, he goes up against the Rams. It's 6-3. The defense is great. He punches in a touchdown. They win by 10, and then his last one, or that was his last one in New England. The one before that, I'm forgetting the Seahawks one, 28-24 against the Falcons, 34-28, and we know that was a pick, or that was the Seahawks one. But they had to come back with the comeback, and then the Rams, a snooze fest. But the difference in all those is Tom Brady made the plays they had to make. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with everything you say.
Oh.
I just think it always has to be added, and Tom Brady made all those plays, and Patrick Mahomes made all those plays.
Well, yeah, and that's I think that's exactly what it is. They've made those plays, and really, when Brady's been beaten and when Mahomes has been beaten, it's because the other teams were making the plays, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Eli Manning. I got 2 against him.
Helmet catch.
2-0.
Helmet catch for the Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
David Tyree. Q's in the house.
Yeah, David Tyree, Mario Manningham up the sideline, Wes Welker dropping a ball, and Giselle afterward, he can't throw it and catch it too. It's all those things. And again, it's greatness to me is always it's always a company thing. You really have to have. You mentioned the coaches. I mean, they haven't taken the hits that a lot of teams have taken in losing key staff members. To me, it's kind of amazing that not just Eric Bieniemy struggled to find work, but that Steve Spagnuolo hasn't gotten a second chance at the job when Dan Quinn and Raheem Morris, both, who were former head coaches, have found ways to get back into those positions. And Spagnuolo is sitting here with 3 rings now, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like you really gotta wonder what owners do value when it comes to success, because just because you failed the first time around doesn't mean you can't figure things out and do better the second time around.
I will tell you more than ever, I believe the key to winning in the NFL, and I've said this a bunch of times, there's fewer possessions now. You have to be able to score in the hurry up. You have to. It is a must, because you're going to get a possession that you only get $1.50. And can you get down and get points? If you can't win a championship. Because you're going to have to do that at some point, either in the regular season to get yourself a 1 seed several times, or you're going to have to do it a couple of times en route to getting wins to keep going in the postseason. I think it's absolutely the most important thing is being able to score in the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, well, and I think you've seen, look, Jalen Hurts did that a couple of years ago against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, right? They're down, 8? And you got to go down and score and get the 2-point conversion. They did that. You've seen Joe Burrow do it. Again, I think that what we see nowadays when it comes to watching sports and covering sports is that it's so hard for people to understand that it's not a horse race. It's a marathon. Like, these guys have been playing for a long time. Most of these guys have been playing at least 12 to 15 years in their careers. And there are going to be periods where some guys are going to have a lot of things around them that allow them to succeed, and others are going to not have that. And I keep saying, end of the day, it's like it's very hard to do what Tom Brady did. It's very hard to do what Terry Bradshaw did, or Joe Montana, or what Patrick Mahomes has done. Like, all these guys. But when you look at the guys who've done those things, look at what's around them. a lot of great talent, a lot of Hall of Fame talent.
By the way, we're brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete with free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warranty. What are you waiting for? 30 years. Gann Asphalt and Concrete has been solving parking lot problems. They help keep your parking lot safer, help you focus on your business. No unnecessary delays, no costly expenses, because your clients, your customers, playing bumper cars in the lots. Find them online right now at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Again, 816-484-3338. One contractor, all things parking lot. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. How many great players are around Patrick Mahomes right now? We talk about what the Lions are going to have to do to put talent around Jared Goff, what the Texans are going to have to do. How many great players are around Patrick Mahomes right now, what you would deem great?
You got obviously Chris Jones. You got
One.
and Travis.
2.
And when I say great, I'm talking like Hall of Fame.
Well, you use the term. Look at those.
Yeah.
Look at those teams.
Yeah.
They had great players, and I'm with you. One, the game was different. Bradshaw would not hold up in today's game. Maybe he would develop differently and be even better, right? Like it's impossible to pull guys out of eras, but like Bradshaw, Blunt, Ham, Lambert, Green, Webster, Harris, Stallworth.
Yeah,
I'm probably missing somebody as well. I mean, there's
10 guys.
Yeah, they had Hall of Famers everywhere. How many Hall of Famers are rocking a Chiefs jersey in these Super Bowls?
Just 2. I mean, right now,
besides
Chris Jones and so you've got those 2. Tyreek will be a Hall of Famer, but that's really
that's good.
That's really the challenge, right? I mean, they are doing it in a way. It's almost even more Patriot-esque than the Patriots were doing it, which is to say, like they're going with like, I don't want to say bargain basement type guys, but they're shopping at Target for some guys, and they'll go to Macy's or Saks Avenue for 1 or 2 guys, but they're trying to rely on guys. They're trying to turn guys over.
How many guys around Brady are going to make it?
Hall of Fame.
Seymour.
Yeah.
Wilfork.
Yeah, Ty Law's already in.
Ty Law. Randy Moss.
Randy Moss is in.
But I think Wilfork, Seymour, and Gronk are going in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else was in that mix there. Chandler Jones won't be a Hall of Famer. Well, Revis was there. He's a Hall of Famer.
I take that back. They did not win with Randy Moss. No. They lost, but didn't win.
Yeah, Revis was there for one of those.
Yeah.
And there's a strong argument for Rodney Harrison. He'll probably get it at some point. So you're talking about 8 guys. What, is that right? 8?
Yeah. I mean, are we going to be like? Doesn't that? What does that say about this franchise, the Chiefs, and what they're doing?
That's what I'm saying. I think they're doing it in even a more efficient way because there's a lot of guys around the league who've got rings that are either on their way out of the league or like I saw Rashad Breeland got arrested the other day, and I forgot this guy's got a Super Bowl ring. Like no one's going to really remember Rashad Breeland outside of his time with the Chiefs, but he's got a ring. Sammy Watkins, Valdez Scantling, all these. There's a ton of guys, which to me is, again, it's a testament that to be able to cycle through that many people and have them buy in for a short time and then get the most out of them and then move on to the next. There aren't a lot of guys who leave this franchise who go play well someplace else. There's aren't.
By the way, Brad, he's like the damn kicker. 2 of them. I mean, I think certainly Adam Vinatieri is going to make it, but Gostkowski is the best kicker in the league for the next decade.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs have replicated that. Harrison Butker maybe headed down that road as well.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do too many speeches.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't end up going the Reggie White track.
Hey, as we all say, everybody's to each your own, whatever you believe. Some people that made it an easier vote to put him in.
Yeah.
Others, it makes it easier to say no. We're not going to deal with politics here. All right. But so 10 years from now, who will have been the biggest nemesis for Patrick Mahomes? Still Joe Burrow, or would you buy C.J. Stroud? Do you buy Caleb Williams? Do you buy Josh Allen? Look into your crystal ball.
No, I feel like if you want to,
because I don't think it'll be Burrow, because I think the Bengals will screw it up.
I don't know. I think they've done a pretty good job the last few years of drafting well, and they've got good coaches. Things have changed over there. I think if you're talking about Mahomes being a Tom Brady, I think Joe Burrow will be his Peyton Manning. And then you're talking about a guy like C.J. Stroud being, or Josh Allen being like a Ben Roethlisberger type guy, or Eli Manning. Like, I think there's those 4 guys I could see each getting a couple championships.
Let's say Mahomes grabs 3 more Super Bowls over the next 10 years, who grabs the other 7?
If he does what? If he does 3?
He grabs 3 more Super Bowls over the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's what basically Tom Brady did. After his first 3, he had 3 more over 10 years. He had a 10-year gap, and then he won 3. I'm not going to, try to completely replicate it because Tom Brady played till he's 44 freaking years old. He's a freak. But over the next 10 years, if Patrick Mahomes grabs 3 of them, what quarterbacks grab the other 7?
Oh, I think Josh Allen gets a couple. I think
he gets 2. Okay, there's 2 of them.
He gets 2. I think Burrow gets a couple.
There's
I think
4.
Herbert gets 1.
5.
I think Stroud gets 1.
6.
And let me think who else I'm thinking about the NFC side of it.
Purdy, Goff. Thinking about who the preeminent powers are.
I think
Dak.
I'd probably say
Jordan Love.
No, I think it's either Hurts or Purdy gets the other one.
You got 4 more to find.
Oh, 4 more?
No, you're right. You got 1 more. I say for the next 10 years. Yeah. But like when you do that exercise, doesn't it make you think? Because like I would sit there and ask people, how many Super Bowls at the Super Bowl? How many Super Bowls does Patrick Mahomes win? And he was at 2, playing for a 3rd, and the most common answer was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think if I asked them that now, they'd all be like 5 or 6. And if we're sitting at the Super Bowl, like they're always going to say 2 more than whatever he's got till he's about 34 or 35. Then they're going to start counting. Well, he's only got this many years left. But like when you do that exercise, doesn't it make you think that like he actually might run off 6 out of 8 here in this stretch?
I again, and this is no disrespect to him or what they've done. It's extremely hard to do what the Patriots did, what Brady did, and there's a lot of things that they pretty much turned over an entire team. And so when you do that exercise, which I think you can't do that exercise and not do it without thinking, oh, they're always going to have all these guys playing at a high level around him. And the reality of it is 90% of the guys playing with him right now are not going to be here in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so you have to like really project out to how many times can they hit on now. And again, the good thing about what happened with the receivers is now you're seeing, okay, you can miss on players. You can have some guys not work out. And so, that is very much a part of being able to sustain this is not just having the quarterback play at a high level, but continuing to find good players. Now, what the Patriots were able to do, partly because of the division they played in, partly because of the conference, where the conference was, there really was only Peyton, Ben, and Brady at a high level in the AFC for, Phillip Rivers was in there to a certain extent, but really those 4 guys, for like the last 10 years, 12 years of Peyton's, of Brady's run in the AFC, which helped him out a lot. He only had to go through 1 or 2 guys as opposed to 7 or 8.
The key is going to be find you a Hall of Fame player again in the 2nd round like you did Chris Jones.
Yep.
Find you one in the 5th like you did Tyreek Hill. And find you one in the 3rd like you did Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Because you're not likely to find him at 32.
Yeah. Which is trying to find Derek Jeter and Manny Ramirez and, Alex. Unless you're going out and paying for these guys most often. And the Patriots did that sometimes. They went out and got Darrelle Revis. They went out and got Randy Moss. They went out and got some guys to fulfill it, but they had a structure in place that, it's, I don't want to get too deep in the Patriot way. I just think you've got, and as someone said, you're not going to have Andy Reid for 10 years. And so that's a big part of this too. So different coaches come along. I'm not going to sit here and celebrate the Patriots. They've been celebrated enough, but I will say that for Brady to win 4 Super Bowls after the age of 36, if Mahomes can do that, that'd be pretty. To see that happen twice would be pretty amazing.
No, I think if he's going to get to 7, he's going to have 6 at 36.
Yeah.
He's going to pick up 3 more in the next 7 years.
Yeah.
And then he might grab 1 more, on his way out the door. That's probably the most likely path for him. By the way, did John Dorsey Is he that good a talent evaluator? He nailed, I mean, when you think of that, second round for Chris Jones, after a trade down, by the way, second round for Chris Jones, third round for Kelsey, fifth round for Tyreek Hill. Is he that good, and why isn't he a GM still?
Well, I mean, I think there were some issues. How can I put this?
But if they will tolerate, and then I want you to finish your thought. Sorry for interrupting. But if teams will tolerate all the off-the-field crap with players, if a guy's a grumpy ass or whatever it is, if he can find Hall of Famers in rounds 2, 3, and 5, isn't he worth it?
No, totally. I mean, you look at the Browns, a lot of what the Browns are was built by him. You look at the Lions, what they've been able to do over there. Well, he's a big part of that. He's behind the scenes now, but Brad Holmes leans a lot on him and he helps out a lot. And some guys just have that magic touch. And yeah, it's to go out and find, and this is no knock on Brett Veach. He's done an amazing job himself, but when you're going out and finding those kind of guys, not one of those guys, when they showed up here, people were saying, oh man, look out. This guy is going to be amazing. And one of them, Tyreek Hill, had to turn himself into a certain kind of player. He was just kind of a
running back,
a glorified return guy.
Yeah.
And so that's not just identifying talent, that's identifying your mentality. And so to find Hall of Fame guys, you really got to find people who have something inside them that is just that people haven't tapped into, but is very much a part of they are not going to die easy, and they're going to set your culture for a long period of time. And yeah, that's very hard to do, because what ends up happening with the way the Chiefs are built now, guys show up and they expect to win, which is how you get what Rashee Rice is, right?
And a lot of that starts with the quarterback, right?
No. Yeah.
Well, I see what you're saying with Rashee Rice. They expect to win and they don't.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. The little stuff doesn't mean as much. I can go do all this stuff on the side because I can take chances now.
On that, we haven't talked Rashee Rice for a while, but an interesting question thrown at me by Adam Dravetto, who produces my radio show. What percentage chance would you give it that he's played his last game, Rashee Rice, in a Chiefs uniform? A lot of unknowns. We don't know what really happened at that bar yet. Maybe we'll never know, but they're going to try to find out, of course. The bar owner said he was there for 30 minutes and wasn't drinking. Is that, hey, that sounds pretty good. But do we find out that, the bar owner is his best friend? Like, he'll say anything. He also supposedly said that, when he left the bar looking at the security camera, it didn't look like the photographer had been punched. I don't know. Like, I watch these video shows. I can't see anything on anybody. I can't tell who anybody is. The video is so bad. So I don't know how this one was so great. You could see whether or not somebody's got a bruise on their cheek or something. But anyway, maybe we'll find out. What chance do you give it that this ends up going Kareem Hunt?
I don't think he's played his last game. I mean, it's
1%, 0%.
Oh, at 0%, 0%. I mean, I think one, he means too much to this team right now, and two, there's a lot of history with Andy Reid giving guys second chances. Kareem Hunt didn't get one because he got, he lied and was on video. But will he be suspended? Yeah. Do I think he'll end up being here for a long time as far as career-wise? No, I don't think that's going to happen now. And I think he finishes out his career and moves on. That's where I think it's going to be now.
But
he'll play. He'll definitely play.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll take it. We know Xavier Worthy is going to be counted on more because he's going to be out. We all agree there's going to be a suspension for Rashee Rice. What kind of numbers you projecting for Xavier Worthy? I've got mine written down.
What are they?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You're going to laugh because I have not been very good. Well, I take that back. I nailed it on Rashee Rice being the guy last year. But I'm also the guy that when they signed Josh Gordon, as you'll recall in this podcast, I think I had him the rest of the year going for 500 or 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. I thought it was going to be a gold mine.
Thought they found their Randy Moss.
Yeah, so I've got just as many misses as I've got hits at that spot. But I'm going to go 55 for 825 and 7.
Mm. Yeah, I don't see him getting that high. I think he's going to be more of a closer to what McCole Hardman did his first year. I think his impact is going to be more stretching the defense. And I don't see them having to do what they did to get Rashee Rice's numbers up, which was really start designing stuff to get him the football. They probably want to get back to being more what they were in the past, which is spraying the football around. So I feel like Travis will get his. Hollywood Brown will probably be second, and then Rashee Rice will be third. And so I think he's more of a that was pretty good. Yeah, I think about 40. I was about to say 40 catches. I'd say 40 probably for like 650. I think under 5 touchdowns, probably 4 touchdowns, because he's not gonna at that size, he ain't gonna be a red zone threat. And so
40 for 650 and 5?
4.
650 and 4.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't
It is.
if he catches a touchdown pass inside the 20-yard line, I'll be shocked.
You're not that far from me, Jeff. You are the
No.
equivalent of one catch a game for
No.
about 14 yards and 3 less touchdowns.
Yeah. I thought you said 825.
I did.
I said 650.
Yeah, that's 175 yards
Oh,
divided by 17.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And then
I thought you meant like
you're
14 yards
15,
total.
15 catches less. I was calling it one catch for basically 10 yards
Well,
per game less than me.
yeah. I'm average, but I got him averaging like 2.5 catches a game. Yeah. But again, I think we're both saying.
So let me ask you this. Is he more MVS or is he more Tyreek Hill?
I don't think he's. I think. Well, he's not.
Just
Tyreek
on
Hill.
that scale, your scale is MVS,
No.
Tyreek Hill.
I'm trying to think of a guy I've seen who I would compare him to. I think he's going to be like what Henry Ruggs was for the Raiders in that first year. If you look at Henry Ruggs' number, that's probably about where he was at, where he had some big plays in there, but overall, he was probably around like a 40 catch, 600-yard type guy. Just because that speed, people are going to play off you. They're going to try to hem you in. They're going to beat you up. I don't think he's going to have that much of an impact inside in the intermediate zones. And so that's where it's like a lot of his catches are going to have to be down the field.
26 for 452 and 2.
Okay. So
was what Henry Ruggs was his first year with the Raiders.
There you go.
For the record, his second year, he was 24 for 469 and 2.
Is that right?
Right?
Was that in the Las Vegas correctional system? Was that
No,
the flag football?
he got both of those Raiders. But at Alabama, he never had 1,000 yards.
No.
Right? And this kid did. At Alabama, 12 for 229 and 6. This kid had like 750 and 7 or 8 his first year. 46 for 741 and 11. And then his last year, 40 for 746 and 7.
Yeah, but he was also playing with Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith, and who was the other guy who was down there? There was 4 of them.
A.D. Mitchell was playing for Texas. Sanders was the first pick of the 4th round at tight end. There was weaponry in Texas.
Name me the last Big 12 corner who was a first-round pick.
The last Big 10 corner?
Big 12 corner. Yeah.
12 corner?
They're not like mass producing those down there, are they?
Hold on. Man, it's a good. There wasn't a Sooner or some kind of nutty. Hell, Sauce Gardner came from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner.
Well, not yet. Was he playing in the Big 12 then? Yeah. That's right. You're gonna claim it, but yeah.
By the way, who's better, Tua or Quinn Ewers?
I haven't watched Quinn Ewers play that much.
I'm just saying those were their college quarterbacks for comparisons.
Oh, probably Tua.
Okay.
Tua. I mean, look. I'm not saying Xavier Worthy is going to suck. I just think that his impact is going to be not so much statistical as it is symbolic. The idea of him.
let me ask you this. Does Reed need to change the offense? Like we learned, we spent a lot of last year, 3/4 of it, watching them try to get Kadarius Toney to be what they wanted him to be. MVS to be what they wanted him to be. Sky Moore. And eventually you said it. Well, a lot of that came with Rashee Rice when they changed the offense to get him going. Would Reed be smart to take a page out of that and design things for Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, I imagine there will be some things designed for him, but the way they want to run their offense, it's always going to run through Travis first. And so that is probably going to be, priority number one. And then depending on where Rashee Rice lands, when his suspension happens, he's going to be number two. So I don't know how much you can design. Again, I'll put it this way. I think what Rashee Rice gets designed for him, for what Xavier Worthy gets designed for him, depends on what he shows in mini camps and training camp. I think that would say a lot.
I'll give you one more rookie year. 62 for 912 and 2. What are the chances that Xavier Worthy could be 62 for 912 and 2?
Well, 10%.
Do you know who that is?
62 for 912 and 2.
Yeah.
Is that T. Higgins?
Nope. Did it in 2008.
Oh. Now you're going way back. 2008 is a
Yep.
rookie.
I'll give you another clue here in a second. You want the other clue?
Sure.
Did it, again, this is a rookie year. Did it for Andy Reid.
Oh, Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. I have the crappy voice. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
I've got voice problems.
Yeah. I'm not drinking enough water here. I'm starting to catch what you got.
Yeah. Stop trying to take my jam.
No, because I remember those Eagles teams and Deshaun Jackson and Jeremy Maclin were the whole offense. There wasn't a whole lot besides those guys. And they had I think Donovan was still there, but they were starting to move towards whatever, Kevin Colvin and Michael Vick. But yeah, that was the first time Andy Reid had gotten away from Terrell Owens, and he was looking more for like a more explosive downfield passing attack. But I just feel like with Hollywood Brown here, there's some redundancy. And you saw this with Tyreek and McCole, that when you have two guys who are speed guys, it's hard to make them both work in this offense. Like somebody's going to get a little bit less than he wants.
I just think this kid's been so much more productive in college than McCole Hardman. And McCole Hardman wasn't bad, as we've defended that draft selection overall. Not that he's better than DK Metcalf. He's not, but solid pick. But this kid was so much more productive in college. I'm much more optimistic. Listen, we're proudly brought to you by our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. They serve the greater Kansas City metropolitan area. 30 years, celebrating 30 years, solving parking lot problems. You don't have a problem if you've got issues in your parking lot, just call Gann. Gann's got you covered. Call 816-484-3338. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. Again, if you're catching us late, our buddy Eric Eager, moving on to the Carolina Panthers. We are hoping to have him on one of the pods next week. That's one thing we want to remind you of. So a little farewell. He's probably not going to come on for long because, can't talk to us media pigs for very long. But we're hoping to get a farewell out of E Squared before he goes. That's number one. And then number two, I'll put it on your calendar. We'll still be talking the national football topics as they pertain to the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to be doing Red, Gold, and Bold twice per week. We're basically retiring the Two Deep name. Going to do it all under the Red, Gold, and Bold umbrella, so you can be a part of more Chiefs talk, but also still National Football League talk. But we will focus on the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the things we were announcing tonight. We hope you're excited about it. I know Jeff and I are. Also, hopefully on down the road, we'll be talking about some folks that are going to be joining us on the podcast here moving forward. So for Jeffri Chadiha from NFL.com and NFL Network, I'm Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.